I'm trying to find my path in spirituality, but my rebellious nature is taking me away from going deeper and being more and more stable and committed to one focus. How do I become a happy spiritual warrior? Your nature may be rebellious, but that which pulls us spiritually away from focusing, from committing, happens even to those who are not rebellious by nature. The ego is so attached to its own way of being. It's so attached to what I know, how I know it, how I want it to be, how I think it is, who I am, what my identity is, how I live, that it doesn't want to let go. And spiritually, we have to let go. There's a beautiful poem that says, as children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because He was my friend. But then, instead of leaving Him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last I snatched them back and I cried, God, how could you be so slow? What could I do, He said. You never did let go. So if we can't let go, we can't evolve spiritually. If I don't let go of Delhi, I can't get to Rishikesh. Whether I'm in an airplane or a train or a car, a bus, a bicycle, my own feet, whatever it may be, however I'm planning on traveling. If I don't let go of Delhi, I can't get anywhere. If I don't let go of where I'm stuck, I can't move anywhere. It's true physically, as every parent or teacher or aunt or uncle knows. You get kids playing on the jungle gym for the first time, hanging on the bars, and the parents are there and they say, let go, I'll catch you. And of course, in the beginning, the kids are afraid. But then they do. And of course, you catch them. And then spin them around and they laugh and they love it. And then they say, oh, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. But if they never let go, they would never know the joy, the exuberance of the jump. They would never know the exhilaration of that even very short fall through the air until you catch them. That makes them then giggle and laugh and again. If we don't let go, we can never experience anything. And so, on our spiritual path, the greatest hurdle is my attachment to where I am. Call it a rebellious nature. Call it your ego. But that is what keeps us from committing. It's not a matter of just focus. It's not as simple as I've got a thali of 10 things to eat. I've got 3 vegetables and dal, and I've got a chapati, and I've got rice, and I've got yogurt, and oh my God, where do I start first? It's not just about focus. It's not just about staying with one thing. It's not about just tenacity. Much of life is getting projects done, getting work done, getting anything done. Requires focus, requires tenacity. But spirituality and our spiritual practice, it requires a bit more than that. So yeah, the discipline is needed. When that alarm goes off, you get out of bed. When it's the time to meditate, you switch off your phone or you leave it in the other room. You actually walk over to the place where you meditate. You actually make yourself sit down. But as we all know, sitting down and folding your legs does not a meditation make. The mind is still all over the place. And what's needed here, aside from techniques of calming the mind, of bringing the mind, aside from that, what's needed is the willingness to let go. The willingness to drop into newness, something different, something deeper, something truer than where I was. And so what I would say is, rather than thinking about how do I tame my inner rebel, think about, what am I holding on to? What is it in me that I don't want to let go of? What aspect of my identity do I not want to let go of? And it might be something as simple as the guy who's not disciplined. The woman who never does what she says she's going to do. And so, of course, to do what you say you're going to do would dispel that. But it might also be something a lot deeper. A lot of us hold identities from our childhood. And as dysfunctional as they may be, we actually hold on to them for some very deep psychological reasons. If we were told, for example, either directly or indirectly, by a parent, by our mom or our dad, that we were stupid, or that we were worthless, or that we were lazy, or that we were never going to be anything, or that we weren't as good as our sister or our brother, or our cousin or a neighbor. And we carry that identity with us. You would think, and it would certainly make common sense, to say, well, God, I should burst through that as quickly as I can. That's just holding me back. And yes, if meditation can help me break through that patterns, yes, sign me up. Yes, let's start right now. But when you look deeply, what you find is that there's actually a lot of times an inner sense of loyalty to that mother or father who told us something or taught us something that today is holding us back. And a lot of times there's actually unconscious and subconscious parts of ourselves that are afraid to break through what we learned as children, no matter how difficult or damaging it might be, because in a way that would not be loyal to the parent who told us that. And a lot of people actually lose a lot of opportunity in life to live the lives that they are supposed to live out of some unworked through loyalty to a belief that a parent had, or to something that a parent said during a bad mood or a difficult time in his or her life. And so if you find that you are stuck, if you find that you really are not able to allow yourself to transform spiritually, or to transform on other levels. We see this happen in careers, we see this happen in relationships. If a parent tells us, again, either directly with their words or just indirectly through how they treat us, that we're not lovable, that we're not good enough, we may literally deprive ourselves of love in order to prove them right, in order not to have to face that internal discomfort of going against what our parents taught us. And this is where it's so important to bring in that emotional healing that sometimes actually is what's needed to enable us to do the spiritual work, to be able to help ourselves understand I'm not being disloyal by finding peace where my mom or my dad never could. I'm not being disloyal by not becoming an alcoholic or a drug addict like my mom or my dad. I'm not being disloyal by proving that thing that they said in a moment that they most surely regret decades later, by proving that it's not true. That's not disloyalty. There's a beautiful, beautiful poem by Khalil Gibran, who's one of my favorite mystic poets, who speaks about parenting. And he talks about, and I apologize for the paraphrasing, but he speaks about parents as bows from which arrows go forth, and how it's the bow's duty to be still and the arrow's duty to go forth. And that neither is better or worse, that the bow doesn't have to feel badly that it is stuck there, that God loves the bow that is stable just as much as he loves the arrow that flies forth. And so if you find yourself keeping yourself stuck to an identity or to a pattern or to a habit or to a certain value, maybe you were raised in a family that was told girls don't do those things. Girls should always be just a little less smart than the boy in her life. Girls should always be just a little bit less successful than the man in her life. Shouldn't be too smart. You don't want to make him feel threatened. Or maybe we were told, don't speak unless spoken to. Just sit down and look pretty. Maybe we were given all kinds of cultural values, either of a broader culture or just of our family culture. This is how we do things. We sweep it all under the rug. We don't talk about our feelings. Boys don't cry. We don't show any weakness. We don't look at things truthfully. We just have, a batch of chocolate chip cookies, and then we all feel better. Maybe that's the family culture we learned. We just eat away our problems. Don't feel that you are somehow being disloyal to the family, to the parents, to the family culture, to prove that wrong. That's the role of the arrow from the bow. Children are supposed to take what they're given and build on it and grow from it. The beautiful, lush soil does not expect the seed to blossom only within it. The soil doesn't get hurt and upset when the seed blossoms out of the soil and breaks forth from the ground and grows into a tree. You've never heard of soil saying, "Come back, come back, come back. How dare you?" We're ground people. We don't grow. We don't flower. We don't fruit. We're the dirt. Of course not. And in the same way, that out of the soil, flowers blossom, trees blossom, in the same way, out of our upbringing, whatever it may have been, our dharma is to grow, to burst forth through that ground, whether it's soft soil or hard frost. Our dharma is to burst forth through it and to grow and to flower and to be that arrow. So ask yourself, what is it in you that doesn't think that you are supposed to have a spiritual awakening? It's not just laziness. And I say that specifically to you because I've been watching you for so long. You're deeply committed. You're deeply disciplined. It's not that. And that's for all of you. All of you, not just the one who asked this question, but for all of you who find yourself that no matter how many vows you take, no matter how many times you say you're going to meditate, you're going to go deeper on your spiritual path, or that you're going to change how you are emotionally, that you're going to stop being so anxious or so jealous or so angry. And no matter how much you pledge, it doesn't happen. Ask yourself, what is it in you that doesn't think you deserve that? What is it in you that you're holding on to? Because while laziness, sloth, certainly one of the deadly sins, it's not to blame for everything. So don't write yourself off as just lazy or rebellious. There may be some deeper stuff going on, and it's beautiful to be able to look. All of this are just pathways into the truth of ourselves. So have a deeper look.